Hello, and today we are going to be reading a little Halloween tale. I hope you enjoy. A Halloween tale. A long time ago, there was a man, a normal man that lived in a very unusual house. A house up, up in the hills, away from passers-by. A house so desolate and far away no one ever dared to visit, or in that fact dared to leave. So, what makes this very unusual house and very normal man so special? Let me tell you a tale that changed the man's life forever, a tale of Halloween night. It was the 31st of October, 1878. Sun was falling below the cloud, and the cold, foggy air started to roll in. Thick black fog filled the air, trapping all remaining light. The fog suffocates the light as it tries to hold its breath for a moment longer. Darkness now rules the night. The man, William, pushed at the cold, rusted metal gate, and it shrieked open, allowing him to pass into his grey, forsaken courtyard. The earth was littered with decaying plants and the remains of piercing rose petals wilting at the bitter chill in the air. For William was an old man. He could barely look after himself, let alone the crooked land he owned. But he liked it that way. The decaying plants, the cracked tiles that scattered the floor, the smashed glass that littered the brown patched grass. More reason for no one to come knocking at his door. As William made his way across the courtyard, he banged his walking stick hard on the ground each step he took. Bang, bang, bang. The cane made as it passed over the cracks and glass and along the path to the front door. A ginormous wooden door greeted him with a huge brass handle in the shape of a rearing horse and a proud knight atop. Yet the handle was damaged. A proud knight did sit atop in all his glory, but now he sits headless. A headless horseman now rides his horse into battle for one final chance at glory. But he remains cast in bronze, for this was just a door handle. William reaches deep into his ripped pocket and pulls out a weighted old key. He gently wipes the rusted piece of metal on the side of his trouser, watching as a small dust of oxidized metal flies off the key into the cold air. He forces the key into the lock and turns sharply. A massive clunk, followed by a bash, a crack, and then a click. A heavy bolt slides sharply inside the lock, and if almost by magic, the door springs open. The old warped wood must have upset the balance in the door, and allow only at the smallest of touches the door to fling open. At least this is what William believed. It was not a rare occurrence for strange things to happen. He just believed there was a simple explanation. There must be. Bang, bang, bang. His cane made again as it echoed even louder than before, striking the polished wooden floorboards. For they were sanded and polished once. Time has aged the wood to a hollow, splinter-filled surface. The strong cane can chip away at ease with hard enough force. William contemplated fixing the floorboards, but why bother? He had worn his imprint onto the house, and he liked it that way. A rough and ready manner. Why should he have to care? No one ever dared to visit, so why not? It was his kingdom, a kingdom that he loved, filled with memory. Every broken clock, hole in the wall, dripping pipe, a story that William treasured. Often in thought he wondered how long he had left, but the story-filled house gave him hope. At any moment something could happen, but he could be content, for he was happy. For now. An hour had passed. William had made himself a grand bowl of soup, and the remnant of a crusty loaf lay aside his bowl. His spoon had the final drip of soup left on it, and a handful of crumbs littered his chest. He brushed vigorously for his age, to clear the debris from his chest and regain his former smart attire. He was a well-dressed man, and he was proud. He may be getting on, but that is no reason to not present himself in the way he liked. He picked up the final slither of bread and wiped his lips with it. The remaining soup around his mouth was wiped up, and he proceeded to finish off the small chunk of bread. He then fell back into his chair, content with his meal. He stared off slightly to the side and gazed into the fireplace, which enclosed a vast roaring fire. It was his first job as he entered to light the fire, and what a job he could do. Stacked beside the fire, a great tower of logs ready to burn. The fire was strong and so bright he needed not light any candles in the room. The fire was the only source the grand living room needed. He often stared into the fire. What beauty the flames had to offer. As he stared, he began to slowly drift off. Often nights he would fall asleep in his chair as he tended the fire. The warmth of the flames was the perfect sleep aid. But this night something was different. Something William could never have foreseen. As his head began to drop and his eyes began to close, there was a sound. Tap. William quickly gained consciousness for a second and gazed around the room. There was silence. Only the sound of the crackling fire. He brushed it off and began to faint again. But then, tap, tap. William sat up in his chair and rubbed his eyes open. He looked to his left at the big slatted window. Nothing. There was not a soul in sight. He looked to his right, out the door frame and up the dark hallway. Nothing. The house may have been old, but William knew it well. He knew every sound this house made, and he had never heard this sound before. He almost slumped back down, but then, tap, there it was again. He grabbed his cane by his side and sprang out of the chair. In his confusion, he knocked the empty bowl of soup off the side table, and it smashed with a loud bang. Smashed ceramics scattered the floor. He was about to yell out, but yet again, tap. He immediately walked carefully over the smashed bowl, hearing a couple of shards crack under his foot, and made his way to the hallway door. As he peered out into the vast wide hallway, it was darker than usual, a lot darker. Was it just the bright fire that had blurred his vision, or was something drawing the light from his home? Tap. Again. The sound was maddening this time, and William rushed over to the fire, pulled a candle from the mantel, and lit it in the flames. As he stood straight and turned away from the fire, he felt a sudden chill run down his spine. Was this a warning? How could a chill with a back to a glowing fire be caused? He clenched the candle tightly in his hand and proceeded into the hallway. A spotlight surrounded William as he slowly tiptoed his way through the darkness. The floorboards creaked as usual, but his focus was elsewhere. What was that tapping sound? He asked himself. He reached the end of the hall, almost being pulled towards the sound. The staircase. He stood still for a second, waiting to hear something. Everything went silent. You could hear a pin drop, and then tap. The sound came from upstairs. Finally, William thought to himself, a source of the sound. But what was to happen next would not be as easy as William thought it was going to be. He gripped the banister tight and made his way slowly up the staircase, his least favourite part in the entire house, the dreaded staircase. Each time William climbed, he felt like stairs would be added, as if it was growing each time, getting taller and taller, as if his house was already high enough up. The house just wanted to reach higher into the heavens. But step by step he ventured on. Bang, creak, bang, creak. A mix of loose stairs and his booming cane filled the manor with sounds. But still, that was just an irrelevant sound. What was the tap? The master bedroom lay at the top of the staircase, and at the top William had climbed. But was his journey worth it? He stopped for a second to take his breath, but then tap. For a second William lost his balance and began to fall back, but by pure mystery his cane got caught in the banister post, and he stopped suddenly, tilting over the top step. He quickly pulled his weight forward and stepped away from the fatal edge. Was that a sign? A sign to stop? A message? Maybe a warning of the danger to come? No. This didn't cross William's mind for a second. Quite the opposite. By some miracle he didn't fall. Something wanted him to continue his search. Something was helping him. He spun himself round the banister and listened out. Then he heard it. Tip, tap. What was that? A different sound. That wasn't right. It was a tap. And now there is more. He lunged his cane into the air and banged it hard onto the floor. A great boom. Then silence. Silence. Nothing. Then tip, tap, tip, tap. He heard it again, now louder, deeper, greater. He knew he was near the source. He wandered down the hall as lightly as possible, trying to locate the source of the sound. But he reached a dead end. The end of the hall. How come? He looked back down from where he had come and nothing stood out. Was he finally going mad? Was the sound just in his tap, tap? He looked up and he saw the door. The string fell down next to his head. Just by sheer luck he had avoided it as he walked past. He followed the string up with his candle, and the light revealed the attic door. He raised his cane and gently tapped on the wooden door, opening. He waited, and sure enough, tap. Was his journey finally coming to an end? There was no place to go after this. This must be it. He pulled tightly on the string, and the hatch opened suddenly, dropping down a ladder and a large cloud of dust. William let out a humongous roar of a cough as the dust settled around him. He pulled off his glasses and wiped the thin layer off and placed them back onto his face. The door must have not been opened in a long while. Not even William could remember the last time he stepped foot up there. He must have been a young man back then. Grabbing each side of the rickety wooden ladder, he clambered up into the attic, with each step making him wish he was back climbing the staircase. Now that seemed easy compared to this, but alas, he made it in. As he reached the final step, he leant forward and brushed up against something soft, releasing yet another cloud of dust into the air. But this time was different. As he reached for his glasses, he saw a sudden bright flash, followed by a subtle tap. In his haze, he dropped the glasses onto the attic floor and heard a tiny crack. A small tear filled the corner of William's eye as he realized the damage that may have been inflicted. William then reached down and picked up his glasses, but as he went to put them back on, another flash of light. It blinded William for a second, but the blind ended and he gained focus yet again, this time through the lens of cracked glasses. What was that light? It couldn't have been the candle. He still had it tight in his grasp, and it was only small. No, nowhere near the brightness of the flash he saw, and the room was dark, very dark. William had never seen this kind of darkness before, so thick and black you could almost reach out and grab it. But the candle light pierced through it. With all the muddle that was going on, William finally heard the sound again. Tap, tap. The tapping was booming now, but where? What from? He scanned the room, frantically trying to see the cause of the sound. He couldn't see anything. The candle lit up the room all for one corner. the darkest of corners, the darkest part of the room. He reached out with the candle, but the darkness didn't seem to move. It hung around. William knew he had to get closer. He just had to see what was there. William took a step, and then another. The attic was immense, empty, dusty, dirty, and dark. Each step he took, he got closer and closer. Finally, the mystery will be solved. Another step, and another. The light followed William like a beacon, and the darkness was further forced into the corner of the room. The room grew lighter and lighter, and the corner darker and darker, until William reached the corner, the destination. Still, the corner remained in darkness, and William held the candle up proud. Was this it? He held up the light and began to lower his hand, and so his hand began to shake. It began to shake and shake even more as he lowered and got closer and closer, closer and closer. The violent shaking began, lower and lower, lower and lower. He was almost there, and then the light cut through the darkness, and then he saw it. William saw it. I wanted to thank you all very, very much for watching, and those that enjoyed the full story, well, I hope you enjoyed. I quite enjoyed making this video, and hopefully if you would like me to make more in this style, just let me know. I hope you enjoyed. Good night.